How's it going, everybody? So, we're back for another edition of All In, where I'll pick a rock artist, I'll listen to the entire discography, and I'll give my thoughts on it. So, the rules kind of go like this. The artist in question must have 5 or more original studio albums. Cover albums can count. I generally don't talk about live or acoustic albums unless the tracks are original to the form. So, here we go. So, this week, we are going to talk about definitely a legend in rock, and somebody who I would say, out of all the years he's been around, he didn't try to fit in with the ongoing fads or the eras. So this week we talk about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So we're gonna focus, of course, on his career with the Heartbreakers, but we're also going to discuss the 3 albums he did as solo, like on his own. He was also involved in bands. He was also involved in a band called Mudcrutch, which I've never heard, which we're not really going to talk too much about that. And he was also with a super group called the Traveling Wilburys, which featured other artists like Roy Orbison and other artists like that. He was involved in 2 of those albums. I guess they had like Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 and 3, which he was involved in. I guess there was Volume 2, he wasn't involved in that, so. But it's mainly Heartbreakers, mainly solo. So, yeah, so Tom Petty, he had a hell of a career, starting all the way back into the 70s. So his discography with the Heartbreakers spans from 1976's self-titled album, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, all the way to 2014's Hypnotic Eye. And then with his solo discography, you got 1989's Full Moon Fever, all the way to 2006's Highway Companion, which is 2 of the 3 albums he did there. But let's see, he totaled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he had 13 albums with the Heartbreakers and 3 albums solo. So really, when you add it all up, we're going to be discussing 16 albums altogether. So Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, when was the first time I ever heard them? I'm sure, probably before I can remember, since they were around so long. But I think the first song I remember in particular was Running Down the Drain. There, I fucking said it. Running Down a Dream. I used to think as a kid it was Running Down the Drain. For years I thought this until recently. But yeah, that would have been right about of course, Full Moon Fever, that was 89. So yeah, I would have been maybe 8, 9 years old when that came out. But yeah, we'll start off. So we start off with their self-titled album, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So we start off with Rockin' Around With You. We have the big hit, Breakdown, which I would have to think that's their breakout track. You got Hometown Blues, The Wild One Forever, Anything That's Rock and Roll, and we have Stranger Than the Night, Fold Again, I Don't Like It, Mystery Man, Luna, and we end it with American Girl, which was very popular. So then we move on to You're Gonna Get It. And, okay, so here we have When the Time Comes, the title track, You're Gonna Get It, Hurt, Magnolia, Too Much Ain't Enough, and I Need to Know, which is really popular. Listen to Your Heart, another good one. No Second Thoughts, Restless, and Baby's Rock and Roller. And this one actually released in 78, 2 years later. So, all in all, not a bad album. And then the next year, 1979, we have Damn the Torpedoes. So here we start off with the song Refugee. Very popular and, dare I say, a little overplayed in the classic rock world. We have Here Comes My Girl, another good one. Even the Losers, yeah, all 3 of them tracks were really popular. Shadow of a Doubt, The Complex Kid, Century City, and then another real popular one, Don't Do Me Like That. Very catchy. And then you got You Tell Me, What Are We Doing in Your Life? Or What Are You Doing in My Life? Then we have Louisiana Rain. And then if you opted for the bonus edition, we got the song Nowhere, Surrender, Casadega, which is a B-side to Don't Do Me Like That. It's Raining Again, which is a B-side to Refugee. Shadow of a Doubt, which, okay, that was a live version of that. But yeah, and then we have a demo. Let's see, Casadega, which is a demo. Refugee, alternate take. So, yeah, you get a few extras there on the bonus. But, so that rounds out 70s Tom Petty. And I never owned any of their full albums on physical media or anything. I mainly was, like, listening to the Greatest Hits album. Like, that's all I listened to up until this point. So, hearing these albums full length, I might have only heard them once or twice, so I've really got to give it time to sink in. But all in all, 70s Tom Petty, not bad. Moving on to 80s Tom Petty, we have Hard Promises from 1981. And so here we have The Waiting. Like, I believe it's the one that's... The Waiting is the hardest part. We have A Woman in Love, It's Not Me. We have Night Watchman, Something Big, King's Road, Letting You Go, A Thing About You, Insider, The Criminal Kind, and You Still Can't Change Your Mind. And yeah, he kind of kept the same formula there, carrying on from the 70s. Then we move on to 1982, Long After Dark, very next year. So here we have A One-Story Town, and then very popular song, You Got Lucky. We got Deliver Me, Change the Heart, Finding Out, We Stand a Chance, Straight into the Darkness, The Same Old You, Between Two Worlds, and A Wasted Life. And then we move on. We skip 3 years. We got 1985. We got Southern Accents. So here we start off with Rebels. We have Ain't Nothing Like Me. And then the very popular one, Don't Come Around Here No More. We got the song Southern Accents. We have, of course, title track. We got Make It Better, Forget About Me, Spike, Dogs on the Run, Mary's New Car, and The Best of Everything. Okay, so then we're moving into 1987. We have Lift Me Up, I've Had Enough. So in this album we start off with the song Jammin' Me. Very good song, and I don't know why they didn't put it on the Greatest Hits compilation. But really awesome tune there. I didn't know any of the other ones on this album, but we have Runaway Trains, The Damage You've Done, It'll All Work Out, My Life, Your World, Think About Me, All Mixed Up, A Self-Made Man, Ain't Love Strange, How Many More Days, and Lift Me Up, I Had Enough, title track. So then we move on to 1989's Full Moon Fever, which is the first with just Tom Petty. Now, I can actually say I have heard this album before, and a friend of mine had it. I remember, like this had, like, a ton of singles to it. Like, I would say, probably the most singles within a whole album that he's ever done. So, here we start off with Free Fallin'. That was very popular all over the airwaves. We have I Won't Back Down. We have Love Is a Long Road. We have A Face in the Crowd, which is good. Yeah, and there's the one I really fucked up. I used to say Running Down the Drain, Running Down a Dream. But I swear, like, for years I thought Running Down the Drain. I don't know why. Okay, we got Feels a Whole Lot Better, You're So Bad, Depending on You, The Apartment Song, All Right Now, A Mind with a Heart of Its Own, and Zombie Zoo. And so far into the discography here, this is my favorite. I love this album. So, Full Moon Fever, definitely recommend it. So then, at this point, we're leaving hair bands, going into grunge in most rock groups. But here, Tom Petty is Tom Petty. So back with Heartbreakers, we have Into the Great Wide Open. And so we start off with the very epic hit, Learning to Fly. We have King's Highway. We have the title track, Into the Great Wide Open. Very popular. Two Gunslingers, The Dark of the Sun, All or Nothing, All the Wrong Reasons, Too Good to Be True, Out in the Cold. That's a good song. I don't know why it wasn't a single, but it was a good one. You and I Will Meet Again, Makes Some Sense, and Built to Last. So then, in 1993, we had a greatest hits compilation, which is mainly how I was been listening to Tom Petty. Like I said, I was never into his full albums, so this is kind of where I would listen to him mainly. But of course, you got all the normal hits, and then when you get to the last ones, you know how like when they do greatest hits, they might include a couple new tracks. Well, that's exactly what they did here. So here we have the famous single "Mary Jane's Last Dance." Like, oh my, oh hell yes, you gotta put on that party dress. That song. So yeah, that was original to that compilation. And then we have "Something in the Air," which was a Thunderclap Newman cover. And oh no, not a bad cover. Definitely a good comp if you want to get your ears wet in the Tom Petty. So then, moving on, we have 1994's "Wildflowers," which is with just Tom Petty. So, of course, we have the title track, and then you have "You Don't Know How It Feels," which was popular. "Time to Move On," "You Wreck Me," which I was a teenager at this point when it came out, and I always thought they said "You Erect Me." But I knew that wasn't it. You have "It's Good to Be King," and I remember this song on, like, when Beavis and Butthead used to, like, commentate the music videos. There was a lyric in the song that said "It's good to get high," and Beavis and Butthead were kind of, like, all excited over that. But anyhow, you got "Only a Broken Heart," "Honeybee," "Don't Fade on Me," "Hard on Me," "Cabin Down Below," "To Find a Friend," "A Higher Place," "House in the Woods," "Crawling Back to You," and "Wake Up Time." And then he did another compilation that's added onto it called "All the Rest," which I believe is like other tracks that are added onto it. Like here you have, like, I'm just going to go over a couple here. You like "Leave Virginia Alone," "Somewhere Under Heaven," "California," "Climb That Hill," which also appears on the next album coming up we're going to talk about. Okay, so here we got "Playback," and disc 6 is the one that has, like, unreleased material here. So here we got "Got My Mind Made Up," which was from the demo sessions of "Lift Me Up," "I've Had Enough." You got "Ways to Be Wicked," "Can't Get Her Out," "Waiting for Tonight," "Travelin'," "Baby Let's Play House," which that's an Elvis cover. "Wooden Heart," also an Elvis cover. "God's Gift to Men," "You Get Me High," "Come Down to My House," "You Come Through," and Up in Mississippi Tonight. And that one was actually, like, it says, like, it's a debut 1973 A-side for Mudcrutch. Interesting. So I guess that was before, that could have been before, like, the Heartbreakers. Okay, so then we move on to 1996's songs and music from "She's the One," which I don't know if it'd be an album or a soundtrack. I guess it could be both. But I do remember this releasing. I do remember it coming out. So you start off with "Walls," "Circus," "Grow Up Fast," "Zero from Outer Space," "Climb That Hill," which I do like that song. I remember it being mixed in with, like, a lot of the grunge hits and everything. You got "Angel's Dream" number 4, "Hope You Never." Oh yeah, he has a song called "Asshole," believe it or not. No, it's not a Dennis Leary cover or anything like that. We got "Supernatural Radio," "California," "Hope on Board," "Walls" number 3, "Angel's Dream" number 2, "Hung Up and Overdue," and we end it with "Airport," which is sort of like an outro to the whole album. So then, moving on to 1999, we got "Echo." "Echo, Echo, Echo." Now, I don't remember anything off of this album at all, but supposedly the breakout single to this was "Room at the Top." And then you have "Counting on You," "Free Girl Now," "Lonesome Shutdown," "Swingin'," "Accused of Love," "Echo," title track, "Won't Last Long," "Billy the Kid," "I Don't Want to Fight," "This One's for Me," "No More," "About to Give Out," "Rhino Skin," "One More Day, One More Night," and And then if you get the outtakes, you have, what was it? Sean Williams appeared as the B-side on Room at the Top CD single. So, like, still, they mellowed out a little bit over the years, but they still sort of kept their same formula they did from, like, I would say at least, like, the early 80s. So then, we're in the new millennium now. We're into 2002. We have The Last DJ. And this song, well, this album, so this album we have, of course, the title track, The Last DJ, the big track off of this. Very popular song. And, of course, it was getting played in amongst the new metal at this point. So, yeah, it got a decent bit of exposure. I mean, there was an episode of The Simpsons whenever there was, like, a rock school going on, and Tom Petty was a part of this rock school, and they actually played this song on the episode. So, kind of a little cross-promotion there. You got Money Becomes King, Dreamville, Joe, When a Kid Goes Bad, Like a Diamond, Lost Children, Blue Sunday, You and Me, The Man Who Loves Women, That Love Will Travel, and Can't Stop the Sun. And, you know, the first time hearing the album, I didn't hate it. I just got to give it more time. So then we move on to Highway Companion, which is Tom Petty's last true solo album. And here again, I didn't know anything from it, but we have the two singles. We have Saving Grace and Square One. Then we have Flirting with Time, Down South, Jack, Turn This Car Around, Big Weekend, Night Driver, Damage My Love, This Old Town, Ankle Deep, and The Golden Rose. And if you get the bonus tracks, you get the songs Home and Around the Roses, and then you get demo versions of Big Weekend and This Old Town. And yeah, I enjoyed this album. I didn't mind it. Okay, so now we're crossing into the 2010s here. So here we got the album Mojo. And if you get the bonus edition one, you get Extra Mojo. So here we have Jefferson Jericho Blues, First Flash of Freedom, Run a Man's Bible, The Tip to the Pirate's Cove, Candy, No Reason to Cry, I Should Have Known It, US 41, Taking My Time, Let Yourself Go, Don't Pull Me Over, Lover's Touch, High in the Morning, Something Good Coming, and Good Enough. And then here you get Little Girl Blues, Help Me, Mystery of Love, and Little Girls Blues was an iTunes bonus, and then you got it as a bonus also on the Extra Mojo edition of this. Okay, so here we move on to their last album that he's done, that he did before his unfortunate death. So here we have, in 2014, we have Hypnotic Eye, and never heard this album before, and believe it or not, I was listening to this during work like I always do, and my coworker riding with me, he's a young guy, like, probably 15 years younger than I am, maybe 17 years younger, like, under 30, but anyhow, he was saying, like, he recognizes a few songs off this album, like, he actually listened to some of this stuff, but what's crazy is, these last couple albums never got really any exposure to the mainstream. He was just out there still doing his thing like he always has, and really you gotta admire that. So here we have American Dream Plan B, which is the single off of this, the big single. Then you have Fault Lines, Red River, Full Grown Boy, All You Can Carry, Power Drunk, Forgotten Man, Sins of My Youth, You Get Me High, Burnt Out Town, and Shadow People, and if you get the vinyl and Blu-ray edition, you get Playing Dumb. And I really didn't hate any of his albums at all. Now, I gotta give honorable mention to his song, It's Christmas All Over Again from 1992. I forgot to mention that. And that song's more or less highlighted because of Home Alone 2. There's that scene whenever Kevin was on the plane, and he puts on his Walkman, and It's Christmas All Over Again comes on the Walkman. That's kind of like where that song appears there. But yeah, for a Christmas song, it was really good. So, with that being said, I guess it's time to start splitting them off in eras and rating them. So, let's see here. And like I said, I have none of them on physical. I'm going by wiki here, like I always do. Let's see here. I'm going back. Oh boy, we got a lot to do here, a lot to rate. So, gonna do the 70s. We're gonna do the 80s. We're gonna do the 90s. And then we're gonna do 2000s to now, or 2000s to 2010s. Since he unfortunately passed away in 2017, which is a shame. I remember hearing all about that when that happened. And he did do an album with Mudcrutch in 2016, so the year before his death. But I never did listen to the Mudcrutch albums, so I don't know. Maybe if I do like an all-in update, maybe I'll go back and listen to them. I don't know yet. But going to the 70s. 70s Tom Petty. But I'm gonna say Damn the Torpedoes was the top album there. And not that I hated it, but Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I feel like he progressed in that decade as far as like how good his stuff was getting. Then we go to the 80s. Let's see here. Hands down, Full Moon Fever takes the top on that one. Love that album. I knew about every song from it. It was definitely their most popular, I think. But definitely recommend it. As far as my least favorite, Southern Accents from 1985. Wasn't really a fan of it, but it was okay. Now going to the 90s, Into the Great Wide Open, hands down. That's about toward the end of whenever he got like all this mainstream exposure. And then I would say my least favorite from the 90s, probably Echo. Going into the 2000s and the 2010s, I would say best one there, probably Last DJ. Least favorite, Hypnotic Eye. But I didn't hate any of them. Real good listen, definitely something different to listen to. So coming up next time, we have a very controversial band who started off in the 90s. We're going to be over at GMC's bar next episode. So it was one that he was particularly fond of, but very controversial. So, yeah, stay tuned, find out what that is. We'll see ya.